Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Women today have more freedom, more education, more career options than any generation in history. And they're reporting lower happiness than their grandmothers did in the 1950s. This isn't about blaming feminism or romanticizing the past. This is about understanding what psychology reveals when we stop arguing and start listening to the data. By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 hidden mechanisms that drain women's well-being and the one shift that changes everything. Let's go. Yale researchers documented what they call the paradox of declining female happiness. Women gained rights, entered boardrooms, earned degrees, and happiness scores dropped across every age group and every developed nation. Before you assume this is just complaining, listen to what psychologists found. It's not that progress was bad. It's that progress came without subtracting the old expectations. Women added careers, but kept caregiving. They added leadership roles but kept perfectionism. They added financial independence but kept the mental load of managing everyone else's emotions and schedules. The American Psychological Association found that nearly 60% of women have faced workplace harassment, bullying, or verbal abuse, and most still shoulder the primary responsibility for children and elderly relatives. That's not a choice problem, that's a design problem. Let's talk about the invisible workload. A woman finishes an 8-hour workday, then starts her second shift. Meal planning, emotional regulation for the family, school logistics, medical appointments, social calendar management. Research shows women spend significantly more time on unpaid domestic labor, even when both partners work full-time. During the pandemic, women's mental health declined faster than men's because they absorbed the additional caregiving and homeschooling while maintaining jobs. Here's what that does to your brain. Chronic decision fatigue. Every choice, even small ones, depletes your cognitive reserves. By evening, there's nothing left for joy, rest, or creativity. Men aren't immune to stress, but they're statistically less likely to carry the invisible labor that compounds it. And when women voice exhaustion, they're often told they're being dramatic or need better time management. That dismissal becomes another burden. Women are twice as likely as men to ruminate. That's the psychological term for replaying conversations, analyzing what went wrong, predicting negative outcomes on a loop. This isn't weakness. It's a cognitive style shaped by social conditioning. From childhood, girls are taught to read emotions, anticipate needs, smooth conflicts. That hyper-awareness becomes a mental trap. You replay the meeting where you spoke up. You analyze whether your tone was too assertive or not assertive enough. You worry about how your decision affects everyone else. Rumination extends depressive episodes and intensifies anxiety. Men tend toward distraction or problem-solving. Women tend toward emotional processing that spirals. The cruel irony? The empathy that makes women excellent collaborators and caregivers is the same trait that fuels overthinking when it's not balanced with boundaries. Society hands women contradictory scripts. Be successful but not threatening. Be attractive but not vain. Be confident but not arrogant. Be nurturing but not weak. Every choice becomes a minefield of judgment. Add body image pressures, beauty standards that shift every decade, and the constant performance of likability, and you've got a population running on fumes. Research shows women are more sensitive to social evaluation and need external validation more than men, not because they're insecure, but because the stakes of social rejection are higher for them. A man who's ambitious is competent. A woman who's ambitious is polarizing. These aren't just hurt feelings. They're structural stressors that activate the same brain pathways as physical pain. Biology isn't destiny, but it's also not irrelevant. Women experience hormonal fluctuations during puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause that directly affect mood regulation. 10 to 15% of new mothers experience postpartum depression, not because they're failing, but because estrogen and progesterone crash after birth. Adolescence is when depression rates first diverge by gender, driven partly by hormone changes and partly by the onset of social pressures around appearance and behavior. This doesn't mean women are controlled by hormones. It means their neurochemistry requires different support systems, and those systems are rarely in place. So why are women unhappy? Not because they're ungrateful or incapable, because they're navigating a world that added demands without removing old ones, that rewards emotional labor without naming it, and that punishes the very sensitivity it requires. Happiness isn't about lowering standards. It's about redistributing invisible work, challenging double standards, and replacing rumination with boundaries. Women who externalize tasks, who insist on reciprocity, who stop performing likability as a survival skill, they report measurably better mental health. If this landed, drop a comment with one expectation you're releasing this week. Share this with a woman who's been running on empty. And if you want the psychology that actually helps, not just the think positive fluff, subscribe. Let's keep going.